What would you do if your husband handed you divorce papers in front of your entire family? Can one complicated secret really destroy everything, even when you believe you're the victim? The answer landed on my doorstep with a lawyer's letter and a room full of shocked faces. The kitchen clock ticked past midnight as I slipped through the front door of our suburban townhouse, my heels clicking softly against the hardwood floor. Nathan was waiting in the living room, laptop open, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the screen. "Working late again?" he asked without looking up, his voice carefully neutral. I kicked off my shoes and dropped my purse on the counter. You know how it is. The Henderson account needed those reports finished tonight. The lie rolled off my tongue so easily now, practiced and smooth. Nathan finally looked at me, his brown eyes searching my face. "That's the third time this week, Evadne. Your boss is really pushing you hard." I felt that familiar flutter of irritation. Here we go again. It's called having a career, Nathan. Some of us can't just clock out at 5 and forget about work. I moved toward the stairs, hoping to end this conversation before it started. "I'm not criticizing your work ethic," he said, closing the laptop. "I'm just concerned. You seem distant lately." I paused on the bottom step, gripping the banister. Distant? I'm working my ass off to contribute to this household, and you call me distant? That's not what I meant. Nathan stood up, running a hand through his dark hair. "It's just that Maya asked why mommy's never home for bedtime stories anymore." The mention of our 7-year-old daughter sent a pang of guilt through my chest, but I pushed it down. "Maya understands that mommy has to work." I quickly deleted the message and shoved the phone into my purse, but not before Nathan noticed my reaction. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Just work stuff." I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. "I'll call you later." At the office, I tried to focus on actual work, but my mind kept drifting to Liam. We'd been meeting for coffee for weeks now, innocent at first, just friendly conversations about supply contracts and vendor relationships. But somewhere along the way, those conversations had become the highlight of my day. Liam Forster was everything Nathan wasn't: spontaneous, exciting, unpredictable. When he looked at me, I felt like the most fascinating woman in the world, not just a wife and mother going through the motions of suburban life. My desk phone rang, jarring me from my thoughts. "Evadne, it's Nathan. Can we talk?" My stomach dropped. "I'm at work, Nathan. Can it wait?" "I found something." His voice was quiet, controlled. "A charge on our credit card statement. The Riverside Bistro, last Tuesday night. You said you were working late that night." My mouth went dry. The Riverside Bistro. That's where Liam had taken me for dinner. Nothing had happened, just dinner and conversation, but I couldn't exactly tell Nathan that. I grabbed dinner after work. I was starving, and you know how I get when my blood sugar drops." "At the Riverside Bistro? Evadne, that place costs $60 a plate. So what? I can't treat myself to a nice meal after a long day?" There was silence on the other end of the line. Then Nathan said, "You ate alone?" "Of course I ate alone. What are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm asking a direct question." The accusation in his voice made me angry. "Because it sounds like she's criticizing my parenting." "Ladies, let's just order some food," Eric interjected, but the tension was already thick enough to cut with a knife. Lila leaned forward. "Evadne's always been ambitious. Remember when we were kids? She was the one who organized neighborhood plays and started that little business selling friendship bracelets." I smiled gratefully at my sister. At least someone understood me. "Ambition is wonderful," Denise said carefully, "but marriage requires compromise and communication." "Communication?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's rich, coming from someone whose son follows me around like a detective, questioning every move I make." Nathan's face flushed. "That's not fair, Evadne, isn't it? You literally called me at work yesterday to interrogate me about a credit card charge. A credit card charge, Nathan, for dinner." The table went quiet. Maya looked up from her coloring book, her blue eyes wide and concerned. "Daddy, why were you asking about dinner?" Nathan's jaw worked silently for a moment. "It's nothing, sweetheart. Just grown-up stuff." It's not nothing, I continued, my voice rising slightly. It's your father not trusting your mother to make her own decisions about where to eat or how to spend her own money. Our money, Nathan corrected quietly. I said our money. We're married, Evadne. We share finances. Harriet slammed her coffee cup down. Oh, for heaven's sake, Nathan. The woman bought herself dinner. She's not gambling away your retirement fund. That's not the point, Mrs. Blythe. Then what is the point? I demanded. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you don't trust me. Monday evening found me back at the office after hours, the fluorescent lights humming overhead, as most of my coworkers had long since gone home. I'd told Nathan I needed to catch up on the Henderson account, which wasn't entirely a lie. I did have work to do, but that wasn't why I was really staying late. Liam had texted me around 4 o'clock, asking if we could meet. He'd heard from a mutual colleague about the tension at Sunday's brunch, and he was concerned. At least, that's what I told myself as I waited in the empty break room, my stomach fluttering with anticipation. He appeared in the doorway at exactly 7:30, his dark hair slightly disheveled from the wind outside. Liam always looked like he'd just stepped out of a magazine, effortlessly handsome in a way that made me feel alive again. "Hey," he said softly, closing the door behind him. "You okay? You seemed pretty upset in your text yesterday." I leaned against the counter, suddenly feeling foolish. "I'm sorry for dragging you into my family drama. It's just, Nathan's been acting so paranoid lately, and it's affecting everyone." Liam moved closer, his green eyes full of sympathy. "What kind of paranoid?" "He's tracking our credit card statements, questioning every late night at work, basically treating me like I'm some kind of criminal." I rubbed my temples, feeling the familiar headache building. Yesterday, he practically accused me of lying about having dinner alone. At the Riverside Bistro? Liam's mouth quirked in a half smile. "I mean, you weren't exactly alone." The reminder of our dinner together sent a warm flush through my chest. It had been such a perfect evening. Good food, better conversation, and for a few hours, I'd felt like myself again, instead of just Nathan's wife or Maya's mother. "That's different," I said quickly. "We're friends, colleagues. There's nothing wrong with having dinner with a colleague." "Is that what we are?" Liam asked, stepping closer. "Just colleagues?" My breath caught. We were standing close enough now that I could smell his cologne, could see the flecks of gold in his green eyes. This was dangerous territory, but I couldn't seem to make myself step away. "I don't know what we are," I admitted, "but I know that Nathan would never understand. He'd twist it into something it's not." "And what is it?" The question hung between us, loaded with possibility and risk. I thought about Nathan at home, probably helping Maya with her homework, probably wondering when I'd be back. I thought about the suspicious looks from Denise, the way Eric had pulled Nathan aside after brunch. "It's complicated," I said finally. Liam nodded slowly. "Complicated, I get that." He paused, running a hand through his hair. "But Evadne, I have to ask, where is this going? Because I care about you, but I don't want to be the reason your marriage falls apart." The words hit me like a slap. My marriage isn't falling apart because of you. It's falling apart because Nathan is controlling and paranoid and doesn't trust me to make my own decisions. Maybe he has reasons to be concerned. I stared at him in disbelief. "Are you taking his side now?" "I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm just saying that maybe, from his perspective, his wife staying late at work 3 nights a week and having dinner with another man might look suspicious." So this is my fault? For having a friend who actually listens to me and treats me like an adult? Liam sighed. "That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that maybe we should be more careful. Maybe we should cool things down for a while." The suggestion felt like a punch to the gut. Cool things down? Liam, you're the only person in my life who doesn't make me feel guilty for existing. You're asking me to give that up because my husband is insecure? I'm asking you to think about what you really want, because if we keep meeting like this, eventually he's going to find out. And when he does, it's going to look a lot worse than just friendship. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, but deep down, I knew he was right. The secret meetings, the deleted text messages, the lies about working late, it was all adding up to something that looked exactly like what Nathan suspected. But I wasn't ready to give this up. I wasn't ready to go back to being just a wife and mother, invisible and taken for granted. I can handle Nathan, I said firmly. He has no proof of anything because there's nothing to prove. We're friends, Liam. There's nothing wrong with that. Liam studied my face for a long moment. Okay, he said finally, but maybe we should be smarter about it. No more restaurants where people might see us, no more texts during work hours. I nodded eagerly. Absolutely, we'll be more discreet. As I drove home that night, I felt a mixture of relief and excitement. Liam wasn't ending our friendship. He was just suggesting we be more careful. That was reasonable, mature even. Nathan's paranoia was making everyone nervous, but that didn't mean I had to sacrifice the one relationship that made me happy. I found Nathan in the living room, laptop open, Maya's homework spread across the coffee table beside him. "How was work?" he asked without looking up. "Productive. Got caught up on the Henderson files." The lie came so easily now. "How was Maya's homework?" "She's struggling with her math. I think she might need a tutor." I felt a pang of guilt. I used to help Maya with her homework every night. When had that changed? "I can work with her tomorrow night," I offered. Nathan finally looked at me, his expression unreadable. "You're not working late tomorrow?" "No, I should be home by 6. He nodded and returned to his laptop. "Good, she misses you." The simple statement hit harder than any accusation. I went upstairs to check on Maya, finding her already asleep, her blonde hair spread across the pillow. She looked so small and peaceful, and for a moment I wondered what I was doing. Was my friendship with Liam really worth all this tension and secrecy? But then I remembered the way Nathan had interrogated me about dinner, the way he'd made me feel like a criminal in front of our families. I remembered Denise's disapproving looks and Eric's sanctimonious comments about transparency in marriage. They didn't understand. None of them understood what it was like to feel invisible in your own life, to be reduced to nothing more than a role: wife, mother, employee. Liam saw me as a person, as Evadne, not just as Nathan's wife or Maya's mother. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just refusing to let Nathan's insecurity control my life. My phone buzzed with a text message. I glanced at it quickly, then deleted it immediately. "Thanks for tonight. You're stronger than you know. Sweet dreams." Let's see what else I'm being paranoid about. He opened the folder and began pulling out papers. Credit card statements showing charges at restaurants and coffee shops during times you claimed to be working. Phone records showing calls and texts to Liam Forster at all hours of the day and night. Your work timesheet showing you clocked out at 5:30 on Tuesday, but you didn't come home until midnight. Each piece of evidence felt like a physical blow. I watched him lay out the papers with methodical precision, and I realized how carefully he'd been building this case against me. "Nathan, you've been spying on me, going through my phone, tracking my movements, investigating me like I'm some kind of criminal. Don't you see how sick that is? What's sick is having to investigate my own wife because she won't tell me the truth." The sound of footsteps on the stairs made us both freeze. Maya appeared in the doorway, her face pale and frightened. "Why are you yelling?" she asked in a small voice. I immediately moved toward her, my maternal instincts overriding everything else. "We're not yelling, baby. Mommy and Daddy are just having a discussion." "It sounds like yelling," Maya said, tears starting to form in her eyes. Nathan's anger seemed to deflate at the sight of our daughter's distress. He knelt down to her level. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups disagree about things, and we get a little loud." "Are you getting divorced?" Maya asked, the question hitting both of us like a sledgehammer. "No, baby," I said quickly, shooting Nathan a warning look. "No one's getting divorced. Daddy's just upset because he thinks Mommy has been lying to him, but she hasn't." Nathan's jaw clenched. "Maya, why don't you go play in your room for a while? When was the last time you asked me about my dreams, my goals, my fears? When was the last time you looked at me and saw Evadne, not just your wife? Nathan stared at me for a long moment. When was the last time you gave me the chance? You've been so busy with your secret friendship that you barely speak to me anymore. It's not secret, it's private. There's a difference. Not when you're lying about it, there isn't. I sank into my chair, suddenly exhausted. I can't do this anymore, Nathan. I can't live under constant suspicion and surveillance. I'm not doing anything wrong. Then block his number. The words hit me like a physical slap. What? If this is just an innocent friendship, if there's nothing inappropriate happening, then block his number, delete his contact information, end the friendship. I stared at him in disbelief. You want me to end a friendship because you're insecure? I want you to choose your marriage. By giving up my autonomy? By letting you control who I can and can't talk to? By showing me that your marriage means more to you than your relationship with another man? I stood up again, anger flooding through me. No, absolutely not. I won't be controlled like that. I won't be isolated from my friends because of your jealousy. Nathan's face went completely white. Then I guess we have our answer. What's that supposed to mean? It means I've asked my wife to choose between her marriage and another man, and she's chosen the other man. That's not what I'm doing. I'm choosing my right to have friends, to have a life outside this house. With him, specifically. You're choosing him, specifically. I opened my mouth to argue, but the words wouldn't come, because deep down, I knew he was right. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're having an emotional affair at the very least. The words hit me like a slap, partly because I'd been trying so hard not to think of it in those terms. That's ridiculous. Liam and I are friends. We work together. We have coffee sometimes and talk about life. That's what friends do. Friends don't lie to their spouses about where they're going and who they're with. Friends don't delete text messages and sneak around having secret meetings. I wasn't sneaking around. I was trying to avoid exactly this kind of drama. Maya appeared at the top of the stairs in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Grandma Denise, why are you yelling?" Denise immediately softened her voice. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. Grandma's just having a grown-up conversation with Mommy." "Everyone's always having grown-up conversations now," Maya said sadly, "and they're always loud." The broken sound in my daughter's voice made my chest tight with guilt, but I pushed it down. This wasn't my fault. This was Nathan's fault for making a big deal out of nothing and dragging his family into our private business. "Maya, why don't you go get dressed? Maybe Grandma Denise will take you to the park later." After Maya disappeared back upstairs, Denise turned her attention back to me. "That little girl is being destroyed by this, and you don't even seem to care." "Of course I care. I'm trying to protect her from Nathan's paranoid accusations. Nathan's not the one having inappropriate relationships with other people. There's nothing inappropriate about my friendship with Liam. Then why won't you end it? Why won't you block his number and focus on your family?" I stared at her, feeling trapped and defensive. "Daddy, are you and Mommy going to get divorced?" Maya asked suddenly, her blue eyes wide with fear. Nathan and I looked at each other across the room, and I saw the answer in his eyes before he spoke. "We're going to figure things out, sweetheart," he said gently, "but things might be different for a while." As I looked at my daughter's frightened face and my husband's resigned expression, I realized that my complicated friendship with Liam had just become the simplest decision in the world, but I still wasn't ready to make it. The mediation room felt sterile and cold. Nathan's lawyer laid out evidence, receipts, texts, phone logs showing my late-night calls with Liam. "Nothing physical happened," I insisted weakly. Margaret read my messages aloud. "When I'm with you, I remember who I used to be." Nathan's face was grim. "You gave him everything you stopped giving me." The mediator outlined terms. Nathan gets primary custody, supervised visits for me, assets divided. "Do you accept?" he asked. I looked at Nathan one last time, searching for hope. "Yes," I whispered. "My complicated friendship,